Hi, it's John here from EPI Software. I just quickly wanted to demonstrate and take you through the new function in Target 400 which was introduced in 10.1, which converts System36 DFU programs to native mode RPG ILE code. So I'll quickly demo how that works for you, and then I'll briefly talk about the new product we've just launched called Integrated Data Assistant, or IDA for short, and which is a product we'll be providing free of charge with Target 400 that lets you maintain the RPG code coming out of this process without programming. So without further ado, I'll take you firstly through how Target 400 converts DFU programs for you. So you get to the new function by scrolling onto the second screen of the main Target 400 menu, selecting option 30, and then I'll briefly mention what the parameters are for you. DFU program name, pretty self-explanatory. Normally I let that default to star all, which we'll do in this case, and then it'll convert the one we've loaded into the library. Convert from object, let that default to star object. It actually looks at program objects, or the DFU program objects, to extrapolate the information it needs to generate the code. Input 36 object library. I've set up one DFU in a library called S36 liber. Database file name, let that default to check object. It will retrieve the file name from the DFU object or objects. You do have to tell it where you want the files to go out of this process. Now those are the native files which will be created with DDS. So I've set up an output library called demo. S36 F&I spec source file, QS36 SRC, which is generally where 36's source members are kept. Library, once again, it's going to be in the S36 library I set up. Output RPG source file, output DDS source file, pretty self-explanatory. Output source library, where those source files exist. Output object library, well, that's where you want the built program and display file to go. Replace database files. I'll say yes, because then what it'll do, it'll actually create the database file, the original DFU accessed, but it will create it as a native file with DDS. And then there's one more parameter I just quickly want to show you. Press an F10. This has mystified some folks. It's the control spec source file setting, or source file name. As you see, it's got Q IDA source in there. Now what this is all about is this process actually also generates a template for the generated program, and the reason for that is that template can subsequently be used by the integrated data assistant product I mentioned to maintain the file maintenance programs coming out of this process automatically without programming, if you prefer that method as opposed to changing the ILE code. So press enter, off it goes, does its stuff. It's going to generate three things: an RPG program, a display file DDS source member, and DDS for the physical file it references. So the process is now finished. Let's have a look at the spool file, and first of all I'll show you the summary. In this instance it's just got one object on it, S36 DFU, and it's converted that, and it's telling us as much. And then I'll show you the listing for the file. It's actually created the physical file from the FNI source member and generated the DDS for you. We should have a listing for the actual program, and yes, we have a compilation listing for that, and it's generated a comprehensive ILE program for you, which you can change as you need going forward. And we should have a display file somewhere as well. Yes, it's created that too. So you've got all the necessary source code that has turned your legacy DFU function into modern ILE, which you can use as you see fit. You can change it, you can enhance it, you can do all the things you couldn't do with DFU with it moving forward. We should now be able just to run that program, and we do that by just a standard call to it, which is call S36 DFU is what I called it. We do have to qualify one parameter, which has got the startup mode, and startup mode 2 initiates the program in entry mode. And there we have it. We have a similar function to DFU, but with the big advantage of now this can be changed by your programmers and maintained going forward, and altered and modified in any way you require, unlike the legacy DFU function. And once you have modern RPG ILE source code for what were your legacy DFU functions, you can choose to maintain it in the standard way by changing the ILE source code and recompiling the programs, or alternatively you can use the integrated data assistant tool, or IDA for short, to effect changes without the need for programming. So to show you that option, I will just invoke the tool and quickly take you through it in reference to the program we just converted, and it was called S36 DFU, and the name of the file it referenced was smlead, and the name of the library we put the converted file in was demo. And then if we do an F10, you can see there's an option to reference the control specs, which were output of the conversion option that turned this stuff into a program, and that we put into Q IDA source, and the library was the same, it was demo. So if I press enter, it should now retrieve the information for that program, and it has done. It was called old legacy S36 DFU in the 36 DFU program. I mean, we can now change that to new maintenance option. Yeah, new maintenance program. And as you can see, it's remembered all the fields that were originally selected first in the DFU program, and then those were transported into the ILE program. So it's remembered all that. So I can make changes here. I can put lead number, area, code, and beyond what DFU offered, I can set functions here, like new line means start the display on a new line for this particular field, make it a mandatory entry, they must enter it, protect the field. Those are things you couldn't do with DFU, but anyway, I can go ahead and add new fields. So, and then when I've made the changes, I can do an F6 to save, and it will regen the DFU program for me and the DS the display file DDS. And put the change template back into IDE source, where the next time we go in it'll remember the current state of the program. So once I've done that, you can run the program from this interface. So press yes, and it's just going through recompiling. Well, it's made the changes to the code, it's recompiling the programs or program. And as you can see, it's changed our heading, it's changed our text, our field descriptions. So it's more or less offering the same function DFU did, but with the added advantage, you've got the code, the underlying code. And can go back and recompile it. We can change the screen size, the number of columns. So I could say, okay, I just want one column, and there you have it. It's put everything in single file for you. There's an F3. And the really cool thing about the integrated data assistant is it's a fully comprehensive replacement for DFU. It not only works on 36 DFUs, but it'll import and convert native DFUs for you as well, and that's very easily accomplished with the tool. You can use the command that does it. It will globally import everything for you, called CVT DFU PGM, or alternatively you can use the F9 function off the main screen, which will let you import them one at a time and take you through the process, so you can make changes and tweak it or leave it alone, and build the code for you that way. So that's basically the Integrated Data Assistant, or IDA for short. We think you'll like it, and if you would like to learn more about the tool, we do offer a free trial version you can download. You'll love the tool. Appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.